We're going to explore why you should be cautious about a particular color. This isn't just about fashion, it's about how colors interact with your energy and your mind. And remember, this is all based on the principles of quantum science and how your thoughts and environment impact your reality. So, let's get straight to the point. The color we're talking about today is none other than the color red. Now, before you jump to conclusions, understand that this isn't just about whether you like the color or not. It's about how it affects you on a deeper level, impacting your mind and body. We're diving into how red can influence your energy field and how it might be holding you back from achieving your full potential. Let's start by talking about how colors can impact our brain and body. Colors are more than just what we see. They can actually influence us in deeper ways. Every color has its own frequency and vibration, much like how different types of music have their own unique sounds. These frequencies and vibrations can interact with our body on a very basic cellular level. Imagine colors as having their own kind of energy. Just like music has different notes and rhythms that can make us feel happy, sad, or excited, colors also have their own unique vibrations. When we look at or are surrounded by certain colors, these vibrations can affect us. This is because our body has an electromagnetic field, which is like an invisible energy field that surrounds and interacts with us. Our electromagnetic field plays a big role in how we feel and how our body reacts to different situations. It helps us deal with stress and other stimuli from our environment. When we are exposed to a color, its vibrations can influence this electromagnetic field. For example, certain colors might make us feel calm and relaxed, while others could increase our stress levels or make us feel more energetic. Let's take a closer look at how this works. When we see a color, our eyes send signals to our brain, which then processes these signals and creates an emotional response. This response can be linked to the frequency of the color. For instance, blue is often associated with calmness and tranquility. This is why blue is commonly used in places where relaxation is important, like bedrooms and spas. The vibrations from the color blue can help soothe our nervous system, making us feel more at ease. On the other hand, colors like red and yellow are often linked to higher energy and excitement. Red, for example, has a strong and stimulating effect. It can make us feel more alert and energized, but it can also increase our stress levels if we are exposed to it too much. This is because the frequency of red can heighten our alertness, which is useful in some situations, but not always ideal for relaxation. Red is a color that is known for its strong and powerful impact on our emotions and energy levels. It's a color that can make us feel more awake and energized. This can be great in some situations where you need a boost of energy or focus. For example, red might be used in sportswear or workout gear to help increase motivation and alertness. However, red can also have some negative effects, especially if you're surrounded by it all the time. Think about how red is used in everyday life. It's often associated with warning signs and emergency alerts. When you see red, it usually means that something urgent or potentially dangerous is happening. For instance, stop signs, emergency lights, and warning labels all use red because it catches our attention quickly and makes us more alert. This is because red is a very striking and intense color that stands out from the background, grabbing our focus immediately. When you are constantly surrounded by red, or if you wear a lot of red, this same intense effect can start to affect you on a personal level. Just like red grabs your attention in warning signs, it can also grab your attention in your own environment, causing you to feel more alert and, in some cases, more stressed. This is because the color red stimulates our senses and can lead to increased heart rates and heightened senses. This can be useful in situations where you need to stay alert, but it might not be ideal for places where you want to feel calm and relaxed. Imagine you are working in a room painted bright red or wearing red clothes all the time. Instead of feeling relaxed and at ease, you might feel a bit on edge or anxious. This is because the color red can increase your stress levels and make it harder for you to unwind. Your body may stay in a state of heightened alertness, which can make it difficult to relax and enjoy peaceful moments. For instance, if you have red walls in your bedroom, a place where you should ideally feel calm and restful, it might make it harder for you to get a good night's sleep. Your mind might stay active and alert, which can lead to trouble falling asleep or feeling refreshed in the morning. Similarly, if you wear red clothing regularly, it might make you feel more energetic, but also more anxious, especially if you're trying to unwind or de-stress. The impact of red on stress and tension is supported by various studies. Research has shown that people who are surrounded by red can experience increased blood pressure and heart rate. This is because red stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the body's fight or flight response. When this system is activated, it can lead to feelings of stress and anxiety, as the body is preparing to deal with a perceived threat. Let's connect this idea with the science of quantum physics and consciousness. Our thoughts and emotions are more than just random or insignificant. They actually have a powerful effect on the reality we experience. Here's how it works. Every thought you have sends out a frequency or vibration that interacts with everything around you. This means that your thoughts and feelings are constantly influencing your environment and shaping your experiences. Now think about how the color red can impact your state of mind. Red is a very intense color. It can make you feel more alert and even anxious. When you're surrounded by red, your body and mind might stay in a heightened state of awareness or stress. This is because red can trigger a fight or flight response, making you feel like you need to be on high alert. When you're in this constant state of stress, it affects your energy. You're operating in what is called survival mode. In survival mode, your body is focused on dealing with immediate threats and problems. This state of mind is not very helpful when you're trying to manifest your desires or create the life you want. Instead of focusing on your goals and dreams, you're more concerned with handling stress and overcoming challenges. In quantum physics, everything is made up of energy, including our thoughts and feelings. When we talk about frequencies or vibrations, we're referring to the energy that our thoughts and emotions emit. If you're constantly feeling stressed because of the color red, you're emitting a stress frequency. This stress frequency can attract more stress into your life because, as the law of attraction suggests, like attracts like. So, if you're sending out stress, you're more likely to attract situations and experiences that keep you stressed. On the other hand, if you can change your environment to include more calming colors, like blue or green, it can help shift your energy to a more relaxed state. When you're in a more relaxed state, your energy is different. You're no longer in survival mode, but rather in a state where you can focus on positive goals and desires. This change in energy can help you attract more positive experiences and opportunities. Research has shown that when we're in a state of stress, our bodies release stress hormones like cortisol. These hormones are designed to help us deal with immediate threats, but when they are released too often or for extended periods, they can have negative effects on our health. This is why it's important to manage the stressors in our lives, including the colors we surround ourselves with. You see, the brain is like a sophisticated processing unit. It reacts to the frequencies and vibrations around it. When you're exposed to a color that stimulates a stress response, your brain has to work harder to process this information. Over time, this can lead to chronic stress and fatigue, which can impact your overall well-being. So if red is causing you stress, it's important to be aware of this and make changes to your environment to support your health. Let's explore how the colors around you can impact your ability to manifest and create changes in your life. The law of attraction is the idea that similar energies attract each other. In simpler terms, it means that what you put out into the world often comes back to you. If you're constantly surrounded by colors that cause stress, like red, this stress can affect what you attract into your life. When you're in a state of stress and anxiety, which can be caused by the color red, you're more likely to draw in more situations and experiences that keep you stressed. This happens because your feelings and energy attract similar feelings and energies. For example, if you're stressed out, you might find yourself in more stressful situations or having more problems. The color red, being a stimulating and intense color, can keep you in a constant state of alertness, which makes it harder to stay calm and balanced. This is why it's so important to be mindful of the colors you have around you. By choosing colors that promote relaxation and positivity, you can help yourself stay in a better state of mind. When you're surrounded by calming colors like blue, green, or purple, you're more likely to feel relaxed and positive. This positive state of mind is important because it helps you attract good things into your life. When you're calm and positive, you're sending out a different kind of energy into the world. This energy is more aligned with positive experiences and opportunities. For example, if you feel good and are in a positive frame of mind, you might find that people respond to you more positively and opportunities come your way more easily. This is because the energy you put out is attracting similar positive energy. Think about it this way. If you're always worried or anxious, you might find yourself in situations that only add to your worries. But if you make an effort to surround yourself with calming colors and stay in a relaxed state, you're likely to find yourself in situations that match this new positive energy. For instance, if you decorate your space with soothing colors and take time to relax and enjoy the environment, you're more likely to feel better and see more positive changes in your life. Now, you might be wondering, what should you do if you're already surrounded by red or you have a lot of red in your wardrobe? The key is to start introducing more calming and balanced colors into your life. Colors like blue, green, and purple have been shown to have calming effects on the mind and body. These colors can help balance your energy and reduce stress, creating a more harmonious environment. In addition to changing the colors around you, it's also important to practice mindfulness and meditation. These practices can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, allowing you to manage stress more effectively. When you're mindful, you're better able to observe your reactions to different stimuli, including colors, and make conscious choices that support your well-being. The goal is not to avoid red completely, but to be aware of its effects on your energy and make adjustments as needed. By understanding how colors influence your mind and body, you can create a more balanced and supportive environment. Biological is the chemical, the hormonal, genetic death of the old self. People who say to me, I'm in the river of change, I'm in the unknown, I'm in this void, I can't predict my future. I always say the same thing to them. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? You can't wait for your wealth to feel abundance. You can't wait for your success to feel empowered. You can't wait for the mystical moment to feel awe. You can't wait for your new relationship to feel love or your new job to feel gratitude. It's the old model of reality, of cause and effect, waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside of you. When you feel differently inside of you, you pay attention to whoever or whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. To wait for our environment to give us relief. The quantum model of reality is about causing and effect, which means when you feel whole, you begin to heal. When you feel empowered, you're going to be successful. When you're worthy enough, you'll feel abundant. When you are in love with life and in love with yourself, you will find an equal, or it will find you. And when you are in awe of the moment, the mystical is going to bless you in a way that you never anticipated. And when you are in a state of gratitude, your job is on the way. It's causing an effect. And by the way, what is the emotional signature of gratitude? Don't you give thanks when you get something or you receive something? So then, what if you were to begin to give thanks or feel thanks before it manifested? Would your body, as the unconscious mind, believe it's in the future experience in the present moment? because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And so we don't pray in our work to have our prayers answered. We get up as if our prayers are already answered. It is that state of mind and body that I know that requires a clear intention and an elevated emotion. And the clear intention is an act of the mind and the brain, and an elevated emotion is when you open your heart. When you combine those two elements, you just moved from living in your past to living in your future. So then, here's the question. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? Can you fall in love with a future potential that already exists in the quantum field? And how many potentials exist in the quantum field? Infinite potentials in the quantum field. Can you select a new potential in the quantum field and emotionally embrace that future reality before it's made manifest to such degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, is believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment, and you're signaling new genes and new ways? If there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the experience has already happened, there's evidence there physically, by thought alone. Relax, because the experience is going to find you. There's an intelligence that's giving you life right now. It's keeping your heart beating and digesting your food and organizing trillions of functions in every single cell of your body. It's organizing mutations in your DNA. There's some invisible force that's giving you life, but that same intelligence that's keeping your heart beating and digesting your food is the same intelligence that's creating supernovas in distant galaxies and causing flowers to bloom. It's both personal and universal. It's within you, and it's all around you, and you can't see it, and you can't smell it, and you can't taste it, and you can't feel it. But it is the giver of life, and it is a consciousness. And consciousness is awareness, and awareness is paying attention, and it is the observer observing you into life. And you know, when I tell our advanced students, either you're going to be defined by a vision of the future or the memories of the past. And then people say, why are you so bitter? Why are you so frustrated? Why are you suffering so much? And your brain, in that emotion, you're in the emotion, which means you're in the chemical residue of the past, is going to call up the event because you're emotionally connected to it. And you're going to say, I'm this way because of that past experience. So then imagine what I do with people. We have people that have been abused. We have people that have been traumatized, that have been assaulted. We have people that have had very, very difficult pasts. And have you ever heard me say to revisit the event? Have you ever heard me say that? Never do we need to revisit the event, because once you do, you open the box. But what we want to do is overcome the emotion, because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body is going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion, because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still? So if I inspire the person to sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot and they're irritated and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. And it starts to try anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind. That you're the mind, and your will is getting greater than the program. And all of a sudden, you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. All of a sudden, the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. It's neural pruning. It's a death of circuitry. It's a death of emotions. It's the absence of void of something in your life. And that's important. In grief, sooner or later, you've got to come to a greater understanding about death, a greater understanding about loss, a greater understanding so that you can adapt to those conditions. Every time I sit with someone and they start complaining about their life, and I let them go for a few minutes, and then I go, oh, you know what I say to them? You only complain about your life when it's not working. And the emotion that you're feeling right now is keeping you connected to the past. You never do this when your life is working. And so I don't have a problem with moving through the stages of emotions. But I also know that what a person really wants more than anything else is to be free. People want to be free. And I have witnessed transformation. It was so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that future reality was happening in the present moment. So here's my question. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already occurred? The latest research in neuroscience says you can change your brain from living in the past to living in the future. And can you fall in love with that vision to such a degree that you come out of your resting state and change guilt or suffering into inspiration and joy and gratitude? To such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, does not know the difference between that external event and what you're creating internally, so that your body believes it's living in that future, in the present moment, and you begin to signal new genes in new ways to change your body to look like the event has already occurred. The latest research in epigenetics says you can change your body by thought alone. Now reason this with me. If there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the event has already occurred, your brain and body are no longer living in the past, they're living in the future, and you will walk right into your vision, something new you wanted to experience. And the moment you started thinking about this experience, the moment you started contemplating this potential reality, you turned on a part of your brain called the frontal lobe, the crowning achievement of the human being. It's 40% of your entire brain. It is the creative center, and it has connections to all other parts of the brain. And the moment you said, what would it be like to be a leader? What would it be like to be successful? What would it be like to have this vision come true? The moment you asked that open-ended question, you turned on this part of the brain because the rest of the brain is just a bunch of automatic programs. And now the frontal lobe, the creative center, wakes up and it has connections to the entire brain. It's the CEO, it's the boss, it's the symphony leader of the brain. And the moment you get creative, the frontal lobe begins to select different networks of neurons that are stored in your brain from things you've learned or experienced. And as you begin to think a what-if question, it begins to select these different networks and begins to seamlessly piece them together and making your brain fire in new sequences and in new patterns and new combinations. And whenever you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind, because mind is the brain in action. Mind is the brain at work. And the moment those neurons fire in tandem, you get a picture in your mind, a hologram, a vision. For those people who are passionate, that thought that they're thinking begins to create an elevated emotion. They become inspired, they feel enthusiastic, they become passionate. They started to open their hearts. And all of a sudden, they're combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion. And it's the combination of a clear intention and an elevated emotion in our research over and over again that proves then the person now is changing fundamentally, changing biologically, changing internally. and their brain and body are moving from living in the past into living in the future. When you do that, when you had that moment, you came out of your resting state, and then you started to write down all the things you were going to do to get to that vision, all the choices you were going to make, all of the experiences or goals you wanted to achieve, and all of the emotions and the joy you would feel. And when you were doing that, you were setting your sights towards that destiny. And then you did something really brilliant. You wrote down the choices you weren't going to make. You became aware of the behaviors you weren't going to demonstrate. You began to review certain experiences you wanted to stay away from, and then you looked at the emotions that would bring you to a lower level, and you began to separate the old self from the new self. And when you begin to do that and you're observing the old self, it means you're no longer the program. Now you're the consciousness observing the program, and that's when you begin to objectify your subjective self. And so the moment you stop making the same choices that you always make, get ready, because it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the moment you're heading towards the new self. Do you think that you can change the circuits in your brain by thinking about it? So I did this experiment a little ways back. It took these people who never played the piano before, and they separated them into 4 categories. And they said, listen, we're going to scan your brains before you learn this exercise, and then we're going to scan your brain after. And all you have to do is show up for 2 hours a day and practice for 2 weeks, okay? And just follow the instructions. And we're going to hook your brain up to these sophisticated scans, and we're going to see what happens before and after. So they got with these people, and they said, okay, first group, here's the scales, and here's the chords. They're one-handed exercises. Practice them over and over again. Keep playing them. So they played every single day, 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. They scanned their brains before, they scanned their brains after. After 2 weeks, guess what happened? Whole new set of circuits lit up in their brain that never lit up before. That makes sense. You learned something new. Learning is making new connections. Repeating it over and over again is sustaining or maintaining those connections, and that's called memory. So they memorized what they were doing by physically practicing or personalizing what they learned. Make sense? Yes. Standard. Simple. It took the second group of people, and they said, listen, we want you to play 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. We're going to scan your brain before and after. You know what we're going to do? We're not going to tell you how to play anything. You just come and do whatever you want. Play whatever you want. So at the end of 2 weeks, guess what happened to them? Nothing. You know why? Because they couldn't remember what they had learned the day before. And they couldn't remember what they played the day before, and they had no structure. They got no instruction and no knowledge to be able to apply it to make some steady circuits. It took the third group of people, and they said, listen, don't even show up. Don't even create your day. Same thing, nothing happens. The last group of people, they said, listen, we want you to come 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. We're going to show you these one-handed exercises, but instead of you physically playing the piano, we want you to mentally rehearse over and over again those exercises. We know you're going to get tired, so we'll nudge you and we'll keep you awake. But you practice for 2 hours a day and you keep repeating those. The end of 2 weeks, they rescanned their brain, and guess what happened? Same area of the brain lit up as if they were actually playing the scales. Now you know what that means? They grew new circuits in their brain just by thinking about it, just by thinking, just by rehearsing. Now every time we learn something new, we make new circuits in the brain. If you learn anything new, learning is making a new connection in the brain. New neurological connection. Memory is maintaining or sustaining those connections, keeping them alive. And the only way that we maintain and sustain connections in the brain is by repetition. Repetition allows the neurons to develop a long-term relationship. So these people every single day made it the most important thing. They gave up their social engagements. They gave up television. They said, I'm going to rehearse. I'm going to mentally rehearse the greatest ideal of myself every single day. And as long as I keep doing it every day, what's going to happen to those circuits? They're going to light up and become the more sustainable circuits to act as a platform of who they will become in the future. During this process of rehearsal, while they were sitting down rehearsing who they were going to be, just like the piano players rehearsing over and over again, they had long moments where they lost track of time and space. In other words, they became so involved with what they were doing that when they opened their eyes or they lifted up their eye masks or when they turned the lights on in the room, it was 2 hours later, and it only seemed like 5 minutes. They were so involved with what they were doing that they lost the feedback of the body, they lost the feedback from the environment, and they lost track of time.